Since my last post, I almost gave up. I almost literally threw in the towel on my YouTube channel and on all of the things that I had planned for 2022. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. And if this is our first time meeting, my name is Angel Brown, and this is the Angel Be Creative YouTube channel. This is the place where I get an opportunity to share my creative journey in hopes of inspiring others to start their own creative journey. And what a journey it has been. This year, I had made a commitment that I wanted to start my YouTube channel and to be consistent. And I have so many plans and so many things that I am on the verge of getting ready to do, becoming a part of the creative entrepreneur space, content creation space, and just different projects that I'm working on, and creating a personal brand in photography and videography. The dream is big, wide, and it is vast, but since my last posting, it just seems like all hell has tried to break loose in my life, and it has just kind of been so discouraging. I mean, the last 2 years during the pandemic, I found myself in a position where I had a lot of time to think. I experienced great loss and things that were just trying and just personally difficult. But in the midst of it all, I recognize that there are some things that lives on the inside of me, a God-sized dream and vision. And I began to recognize some things. What you need to know about me is that I'm a Christian creative, and so a lot of how I think and how I see the world is through a Christian worldview, or through a Christ-centered lens. And so in times of hopelessness, in times of discouragement, in times of dark seasons, I find myself gravitating to scripture and gravitating towards the Bible. Now, my objective on this channel is not to convert you to think any other way. I'm just sharing who I am and what works for me. And I wanted to use this opportunity to encourage someone. And this particular video is not designed to tickle the fancy of the YouTube algorithm and try to get more views or try to get more subscribers. This video is for those who have reached out to me, who have encouraged me in so many different ways, either through personal messages or leaving comments in the comment section. This is for those who have subscribed to the channel, who I call my creative tribe. I feel it necessary to be vulnerable in this situation and to be open and honest about what has been going on with me. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you that if you find yourself in a particular season, a dark season, I want to encourage you to keep pressing and to keep going. One of the things that helped me in this time, like I said, I go to scripture to find encouragement, to help me, guide me through the darkness. And I landed on the story of Joseph, the dreamer. You may or may not be familiar with this particular passage of scripture, but Joseph at this particular time was 17 years old, and he had a dream that basically indicated that at some point in his life that he was going to rise to power, and that his family members would bow down to him. And in this story, if you've heard it preached or ministered before, if you've heard it taught, most people perceive Joseph at this juncture in his life as someone who was being braggadocious or boastful about his dream. And I just began to reverse engineer Joseph's life, the whole entirety of the story, his life, and how he has handled adversity and how he had handled difficult moments in his life, betrayal by blood and family members, how he has always remained integrous. And so I tend to think that when he had this dream at 17, now mind you, he wasn't yet fully a man, but he wasn't a boy. I think that when Joseph had this dream, that he was afraid and that he went to his brothers to get wisdom and to be consoled, because I think that that dream was so big in size that when he measured himself to this dream, it made no sense. And I think we find ourselves in particular situations where we have a God-shaped, a God-sized dream, and we can't fathom that we would be able to hold such a dream. And so we put it away, we ignore it, we don't follow it because we're afraid of the magnitude of a God-sized dream. And so I find myself in a position where I feel like on the inside of me, there's a God-shaped dream on the inside of me that I am myself afraid of, that I can't even fathom. I oftentimes say to myself, who am I to dream that big? But the question is, who am I not to? When you look at people that you admire in, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Tyler Perry's, and whomever you kind of admire who have quote unquote made it in this world, they had a God-sized dream. And if they would have been afraid to pursue it, they would have never amounted or reached their full potential. And so this is where I find myself at. In the midst of such a difficult season where literally I have had some heartbreaking moments, very dark moments, I am coming to recognize that I cannot give up on my dream. And I don't think you should give up on your dream. Now, there in the story, the thing that I get, that there is consequences to having a God-shaped dream. There will be adversity when you have a God-shaped and God-sized dream. You may experience betrayal, even from those that are supposed to love you, that are supposed to support you, that are supposed to stand behind you. You may experience some pain that you never thought that you would ever imagine. But that is probably part of the consequence of holding such a dream. But the encouraging part about the whole story is that when it was all said and done, Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, by his blood. He found himself in the prison. He found himself in prison. He found himself falsely accused. He went through some very traumatic and difficult things. But in the end, he went from the prison to the palace. And in the end, he was responsible for saving his family. He became one of the greatest rulers in the land. And when the famine hit, when there was a crisis that was coming on the land, he was in position to be able to provide for his family. His dream came to pass, and he came, even through the adversity, he became everything that God called him to be. If he would have given up, or if he would have just gave up in the pit, he wouldn't have been in a position to be able to help his family or to help the people that he was over. I find myself feeling and sensing that I can't give up. And if there's only one person that connects with this, I just want to encourage you. You cannot give up. What is on the inside of you is so important. What God has placed on the inside of you is not only for yourself, but is for others. I can't give up on my dream, even in moments where I want to, even in moments when I think, well, maybe now is just not the time. There's just too much adversity. There's too much instability. Since the last I posted, I moved into a new space. It has been tumultuous and a very chaotic experience. And for the most part, I feel a little unstable. And so the feeling of being unstable makes me want to stop. it makes me want to say, no, now is not the right time for all of this. But I can't stop. There's so much that I have planned and so much that I want to do. So for those who understand prayer, I am putting it out there. Please continue to pray for me as I pursue this God-sized, God-shaped dream. I think I'm gonna end it here. I wanted just to touch bases and to let you know what has been going on. I think that I'm in a position to be more consistent in my posting. I have 100 videos lined up that I want to do. One of my subscribers asked me to do kind of like what's in my camera bag, and then someone else asked me to go a little deeper into specs and the specs that we need to be looking for as content creators, as we're looking for cameras and computers. But what are the specific specs that are important to note? And so I want to do a brief video on that as well. So I do have things in line in regards to the next video. Please stay tuned, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. And until next time, I hope and I pray to see you soon. God bless.